Welcome everybody to Sty Times. Hey, it's great to see you here. Oh yeah, oh, another Sty Times. Wow, yeah, it's hard to believe 27 episodes already. I want to shout out some of the great folks hanging out in the chat early in the stream. Um, Eileen Valou, she popped in right away. I'm here, Sty. Then Metal Music Maniac popped right in there. I like this comment. I'm the smart kid, though. Flip phones all the way for me. Yeah, not a bad idea. Rebecca Felter, it is so good to see you, Rebecca. And then we had everything. Spicy jumped in, said, share it out. I want to thank all of you. I see where you all shared it out. That was awesome of you. Thank you very much. Yep, share it out to as many as possible. The I'm not ready for tonight. There's going to be over 200 people. I honestly do not know. I get nervous. I am there to help out. I worked at the whatever that is, CAC on stage with bands. Yeah, you'll do okay, Will. Hey, you'll do okay. Yeah, he's helping out tonight at a big event. So yeah, wish him all the luck out there. Wish him all the luck out there. What in the world? Oh, did Jim Bob Cooter take over again? Yeah, Spicy said. Spicy said that he hasn't let him out of his and he almost said cage, and he goes his room for quite a while. Yeah, good old Jim Bob Cooter. Yeah. Well, hey, people would think differently of Jim Bob if you got him a smartphone. Yeah, get him a smartphone. This evening's topic. Now, some people might take it wrong, might take it wrong. Smartphones, dumb kids. Now, it's not, I'm not trying to title our kids of today as being dummies, that they're all dumb, they're all undereducated. We don't have any smart kids. They're all dumb kids. That's not what I'm trying to imply here. What I'm trying to impress on people this evening is that smartphones tend to make our kids look a little dumb at times. And there's some things that smartphones, in my view, actually dumb down the users. And the kids really get a lot of use out of smartphones. Hi, Lisa Lee. It's so good to see you. Good evening to you too. But the thing is, and it's hard for me because, I lived through the pre-cell phone era quite a few years. So I saw the evolution of the cell phone and the internet and everything. I saw that evolve over the years from not even existing to what we have today. And just observing how it's affected people makes this a topic that I have interest in. And it's because I have concern for our current generation, the last couple generations, any generation that didn't live through zero internet, zero cell phone. They didn't experience that. So they don't know any better. Hi, Lori J. Now, when I was growing up, there was no such thing as a push button phone. All of them were dial. dial, dial. Then, I'll never forget when my father, he went way out on the limb because they just came out. He bought my mother a princess phone, they called it. Streamlined phone. It had push buttons on it. And it was another year or so later, he bought another one for her to replace that one because the new one it was lit up. When you used it, it would light up. The push buttons would light up. Boy, that was an advancement. Boy, we were thrilled. Hey, Ingalls family. Good to see you. So, and we lived with that until I was in my late 20s. And the oh yeah, the old phones you had, just like a walkie-talkie day, pretty much, you know. The Cheesehead says I banged on sticks to make a call when I was a kid. Close. Smoke signals. But then they came out with bag phones. Oh yeah, I was thrilled. I went out and got a bag phone right away. Then I found out I had to get an extra part-time job just to pay for that bag phone because the service was so doggone expensive. It was pushing 60 cents a minute. Then they came out with the cell phones. And they kept improving. Year after year, they were improving on the cell phones. Then the next thing you know, and I know a lot of parents that went through that. You went through that spell of your children saying, "Can I get a cell phone? Will you get me a cell phone?" Now my kids, it was no. Hey, Gaffa, it was absolutely no. You're not getting a cell phone. You don't need a cell phone. You've always got change in your pocket. You can use a pay phone, call home. You don't need a phone in your dang pocket. Hey, E-Waste Mike, great to see you. And so my kids were upset with me because the other kids, their parents were caving in and getting them cell phones. Hi, Eileen. And next thing you know, all the kids got cell phones. Every little group of kids you saw, at least one kid had a cell phone. Now, as parents, we thought it was smart to give your kids a cell phone. Now you can reach that kid whenever you want. If you want to know where that kid is, what they're up to, you just call them. They got the phone in their pocket. Kids were smart during that period of time. They just didn't answer the phone. Just didn't answer it. And did whatever they wanted. And then when they got home, the parents would chew them out. Why didn't you pick up your phone? I was calling you and you never answered your phone. I don't think I had signal. I had never heard it ring. I don't think I had signal. Well, the parents had a heck of a time at that time to prove that the kid did have signal, right? So the kids were smart. They knew how to play the game, right? Well, then the signal improved, so they couldn't use that anymore on their parents. I can't tell my parents I didn't have any, they're sorry, no service where I was. I couldn't get a call. They couldn't get away with it anymore. But they also improved the phones to where texting was so much easier. So those kids, not just calling each other, but they're texting all the time. Chatty, 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 chatty. They're chatting to each other. Text, 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 text. Then out comes the smartphone. Okay. Now I only have to use about 10% of this gray matter up here between my ears because I'm smart. As smart as anybody else and smarter than most. Right here. I got it right here. I'm smart. I'm smart. You can ask me anything, and I've got the answer. Internet access on their phone. Now they've got the answer to everything. I don't have to know nothing. It's all on my phone. The cheesehead saying my great was part of the team that made the first cellular phone call from a car. He worked for AT&T. Oh, cool. Great uncle. That's cool. That's cool. Raven the Blackbird sent me a link to an old late 1940s promotional video about wireless telephone in the late 1940s. Now, some people were calling that the first cell phone. Well, that's a misnomer because really what it was it was just a very powerful walkie-talkie, and you had to be within walkie-talkie distance of that tower. And if you could reach that tower in that building was a telephone switchboard, and you were broadcasting. Basically, you were broadcasting over a radio, and they were just playing that off to the person you wanted to call. They had to call that person, and then they were just playing the audio to them, and that person, when they talked back, that was transmitted out by radio waves. And they said that was the first cell phone, but it was well, and in the movie, that little documentary promotional video, never mentioned cell phone because they didn't even have the term cell phone in 1947. They didn't know what, nobody would know what you're talking about, say cell phone. But, and basically it was pretty much so just like the radio in my father's police car in the 50s, because he could actually get somebody, talk to somebody on the phone over the radio in his police car. But that's only because they had a radio receiver where the phone company's switchboard was. Yeah, it wasn't cell phone, but that's cool, Cheesehead. I like that. That's awesome. Awesome. But so why would I say smartphones dumb kids? Well, for a lot of us older folks, if you're over 50 and you really think about it, we had to be smart. Well, you didn't have to be. You could be the dummy in the class. You could be the town dummy, yeah, that's your choice. But if you wanted to carry a intelligent conversation with somebody, you have to know some things. You got to remember things. You got to learn things. And the yeah, hey, hi Raven. Yeah, it was a radio phone. They call it a radio phone in that clip. That was a good clip, by the way, Raven. I appreciated that. That was a nice historical thing to see. Back in those days, they did little promotional video or films of every little advancement we made through that era in the 40s and 50s. There were videos on everything new that came out, and Raven landed onto that one. That was awesome. It was good. It was really good. But so smartphones and dumb kids. Well, like I said, hi Tim. When I was growing up, if you heard something, you did your best to remember what you had heard. Because because if you were talking to somebody and a topic came up and it was something that you had heard before and you had that information in your head, you could become part of that conversation and have some information to share, right? Don't have to do that anymore. Don't have to do that anymore. You can be the class dummy as long as you've got, make darn sure you've got your smartphone. You you're no longer the class dummy. The fact of the matter is, if you're a dummy, you're a dummy, no matter how smart your phone is. Now, kids get mad at me today. My grandkids, they just shake their head at me. I'll ask them a question. I'll say, "Did you know?" And then ask them a question. And they go, it's like they shut you completely off, and there they are. Yeah, and that's that. I tell my grandkids right away, you're going to put that thing in your pocket. You're going to mute it, put it in your pocket, or I'm going to smash it. Because if I want the answer from your dang phone, I will call your phone and ask your phone for the answer. I was talking to you, not your dang phone. Well, I got the answer. It's on my phone. That's not your answer. That's the phone's answer. That's not your answer. You know, if I know who the richest man in town is, that doesn't make me the richest man in town. Just because I know the richest man in town, just because I know what house he lives in, just because I know I could go knock on his door and ask him a financial question and he could probably answer it. Now I'm as smart as the richest man in town because I know how to get to him. No, you're not as smart as the richest man in town. You just know where he lives. That's all. You're not the smartest person in the world. You just know where to find an answer, and that's from a third party, and it's called your smartphone, you dummy. And it's not just kids. The kids to me are the victims here. Adults that do that depend on the smartphone to be intelligent, they're just their own worst enemy. They're not victims. But our kids are victims because kids now can say, hey, it's all right. I can dumb myself down. I don't have to know much of anything because I've always got my smartphone. To me, that's a real shame. Hey, Saucy Shane, welcome to the show. Great to see you. Joy Invader Gamer, welcome equally. It's great to see you guys. But, you know, I had one of my grandchildren tell me, they said something that was a little odd, a little off key. And I said, where'd you get that from? Well, I got it off the phone. And I said, well, did you back that up? Did you look any further than the first answer you got? Well, no, my phone told me that. So, happened to be close to my computer. I pulled up the same issue and I said, boy, look at all these different resources on that. And take a look at all these different positions on that same topic. And they're going, really? And I go, yeah. Well, my smartphone said, I said, well, you could have searched it further on your smartphone. You just took the first answer that popped up? Well, yeah, it's a smartphone. I said, well, you're making yourself look like a dummy because you're just buying into it just because your phone said so. Your phone isn't always as smart as what it is called. You know, you're putting too much dependence in your in your phone. Hey, oh, excuse me, Chris Cheesehead. I just had that topic maybe a week or two ago. Encyclopedias. What's that? Because that's the question I asked also. And that plays right into this topic. Plays right into this topic. And after the 30-minute break, I'm going to kind of get into some detail as to why I titled the topic Smartphones Dumb Kids. And it has a lot to do with the fact that the kids have been given an open door to dumb themselves down. And to me, that's a travesty. That's a travesty. Kids are, yeah, everything Spicy says. My phone told me that. It must be true. Before we had all the cell phones and we were first on the internet, I heard it all the time. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And I go, that ain't right. Oh, yeah, it was on the internet. So? Well, then it's right. Why is it right just because it was on the internet? Well, because that's the internet. That's got everything. Well, it's got everything, but not everything is correct. It's got all the right stuff and it's got all the wrong stuff too. Everything, you're right. Everything's on the internet. And if you grab the wrong thing, you got it wrong because you didn't look deep enough to see the whole story behind it. What else is out there? What maybe something else is better supported. And the information I got was just bad information, but I'm believing it just because it popped up on the internet. It must be right. Guess what? You just dumbed yourself down by just assuming that just because the internet said it, it's true. Just like that smartphone. Now, we used to play this game, a few of us, and we'd sit there having coffee at the local cafe here, and we'd come up with a question. And then one of the guys type it into his phone, Google it, and we'd try to guess what the answer was. And then he'd read off the top thing that Google said about it. I mean, even on definitions, we had things that come across and we'd go, that's not what that meant. And the definition's totally wrong. And like one of my buddies said, yeah, but how many people, that's the very first definition that came up, assume that's correct? True, true. Well, thanks, get her done, Granny. Love you, girl. Kids can't do simple math anymore because they have a calculator with them. That's why they invented Common Core math. Yeah, Common Core is the biggest crock in the world. Biggest crock in the world. My career was all surrounded finance, high finance. And when they started teaching Common Core in our schools, I went ballistic in our school district. And I told them, I said, you'll never teach that crap to my kids. It ain't happening. Because for every Common Core test exam that they do and fail, I guarantee you they'll pass a standard mathematical test with 90+%. And it was crazy. Yeah. Hey, Donald Morris, great to see you. But after the break, I don't want to go there till after the break, but we're going to talk about kids and learning, schools after the break. Smartphones, in a lot of cases, have had a very, very negative impact in the education of our children. Now, we all want to brag that our kids are so smart, our kids are smart, our kids are so smart, they're smart, smart, smart. I can't find it, and I was looking for it, but somewhere in my stuff, I've got this little book, and it's 8th grade math from 1923. In it was folded up a test. And in that test, they I believe it was a total of 40 questions. Now, all I ever did was math for 27 years. That's all I did was crunch numbers for 27 years. I took that 8th grade test. I got a 62% on that test. I failed the test. 62%. I only got a little better than half the questions right. I got 20 some questions right out of 40. I went and then went back in that book and looked at each one of those problems I failed, went through the studies on it, what's in the book, and learned it. And I gave it a week or so, and I pulled the test, and I retook the test. Then I passed with an 80%. Still wasn't the best, but I passed with an 80% at least. Well, that's a little embarrassing when you're in your 40s and you're right in the middle of a career and you're handling hundreds of millions of dollars annually through your office. And you're dealing with huge business operations. And you can't pass an 8th grade math test from 1923. You take smartphone away from a kid today and sit them down with that 8th grade test, and I guarantee you, you can be as proud as you want about this kid. They're sharp as a tack. They're bright. They're smart. They know it all. I'll sit them down with that 8th grade math test, and I'll bet you they're lucky if they can get a 40% on that test. Very lucky. Because every single question on that test, to someone that used math every single day to the extreme, that test was tough, every single question. And it all had to come from up here, how to answer the questions. There was I couldn't go to the smartphone and say, smartphone, you tell me how to pass this test. Just wasn't there, wasn't available. We're going to get more into education and the smartphones and what makes dumb kids right after this break. I want you all to stick around. Don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a quick peek at all of these awesome channels that are members of the Sty North channel. And we'll be right back. It only takes about 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. Don't stick around, guys. Here it is. So, all a bunch of great channels, awesome people. So, smartphones, dumb kids, education. You never saw a person so bent out of shape and upset as I was when I had to go to our high school, storm in to our superintendent's office, and ask him just what in the hell they're getting paid for. And he said, I don't, to teach your kids, that's what we get paid for. Now, the superintendent and I knew each other quite well. And I said, you're not teaching my kids math. Now, this is before core math came in, but smartphones were out, right? It was bad enough they gave them calculators to use in math, right? One of my kids said we're allowed to use our smartphone in class, in math class. And I told him, I said, no way, no way. I'm against them using a calculator until they get into advanced math. Then you need a scientific calculator. It only makes sense. You're not going to longhand everything. Some things require a calculator, but not basic geometry and algebra. If you can't do that without a calculator, you haven't learned it then. You're letting a machine do it for you. And I said, and now they're allowed to have their cell phones in class and they can use the cell phone, they can do searches and stuff. I said, you realize they can? My kids said some of the kids, when they're taking a test, will actually text another kid in the class and say, what's the answer to question number 12? He goes, well, I hope that's not going on. I said, you hope? My kid just told me that's what's going on. Why are these kids even allowed cell phones in the classroom? Well, it's their right to have. I said, no, it is not their right. If their parent says, I want my kid to have a cell phone, the parent shouldn't have the power to say, in the classroom. That cell phone can sit in their locker. They can lock their locker. They can grab that cell phone when they're not in class, because you don't need a cell phone while you're in the class. Let the teacher have a cell phone. Well, our classrooms had a phone on the wall, boy. You pick that up, and there's a gal at the switchboard in the school office answer you right then and there. Kid don't need to be calling nobody or texting nobody during a lesson. Well, then I found out they're allowed those cell phones in all of their classes. I said that means in every single class, they're allowed to find the answers on their cell phones for everything that happens in that class. And he said, yeah, we didn't put enough thought into it because if they're using them when they're taking a test, I can see a problem with that. I said, you think? I mean, it's another one of those deals where let's think about it well after we've established something dumb, something stupid. I decided I'm going to test some of these really bright kids. I consider them very bright. They're sharp kids, smart. So I decided to test them. Had a couple of my kids and their friends there. And I go, hey, you guys, I got a question for you. And I asked them a question that I figured they probably haven't. They might have an answer for it. First thing, every one of them, there's like 5 of them there. Every one of them grabbed their phone. Oh, I got the answer. So they tell me, they read off their answer. I go, well, okay. Now I'm going to ask you another question. I asked them 3 questions that way. Every single time, all 5 of them grab their cell phone. I got an answer. I said, okay. The I said, well, I want all 5 of you to come back around tomorrow. I want to talk to you again. I might have a couple other questions for you. So the next day, the very next day, all 5 of them showed up. And I said, I've got 3 questions for you today. And they're laughing. They go, yeah, okay, we're good with that. And I said, but I want you all 5 of you put your cell phones on the table over there because you don't get to use your cell phones. I want you to answer these questions. And they go, well, I said, no, just do it. Just do it. Let's see how it goes. They put their cell phones on the table. Guess what those 3 questions were I asked them? The same 3 I asked them the day before. The exact same 3 questions. Out of those 5 kids, they couldn't give me the correct answer on any of those 3 questions. And I said, what a pack of dummies. And they go, well, if you let us use our phones, we could give you the answer. I said, I let you use the phone yesterday and you got the answer and you gave it to me. You told me what the answer was. It's only been about 24 hours and now I'm asking you the same question over, the question of which you had the answer. You thought you were so smart and proud. You had the answer. A day later, I ask you the same question and you can't answer it even though you answered it yesterday. But we don't have our phone. I said, in other words, you did not answer the question. You let your phone answer the question and you didn't use your own mind. The only thing you use your mind for is to type that question into a search to get the answer. You didn't personally have to remember the answer. When I was growing up, it's like I said, you paid attention and remembered those answers. If you were put in a situation where there needs to be an answer and you found out what that answer was and you gave it to somebody, you remembered it. So you didn't look like a dummy the next time they asked you that question. These kids couldn't even remember an answer they gave me 24 hours earlier. I explained to them how smart their phones really were compared to them. I said, you're a dummy for letting your phone outsmart you. I mean, come on. Hi, Samantha. Hi, good to see you, Samantha. And Scott Hall. Yes, prayers. Everybody throw prayers up there for Scott. That is, that's bad news. That's bad news. But hopefully hopefully it can be answered. Hopefully the doctors will be able to take care of you there and everything will come out well. Lots of prayers to Scott, guys. I got a bum smoke. It doesn't want to stay lit. I better check that on my smartphone and find out why. Hey, not so remote Alaska. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, Pepper Kid. Awesome. Great folks popping in. And I'll tell you, I've got, I got, what is it now, 16 grandkids, something like that. A couple of great grandkids. And I got this one grandson of mine. That kid is sharp, man. That kid is sharp as a tack. And I can, it's not to brag him up because he's my grandson. Um, the it's because he is. He's got it figured out, you know. Um, the 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 kid, I don't get to see him often. It's you know only maybe 3 times a year, um, 4 times a year. He lives with his father, not with my daughter. Um, they they've been divorced for a long time, and so he lives with his dad, and his dad is one of the most wonderful folks I ever met, and he he loves that kid to death. I mean, he'll do anything to help that kid succeed. He doesn't spoil the kid. The kid gets rewarded when he excels, and a little something extra for that kid. The kid is an awesome downhill skier, and he downhill skis competitively. He's got a room full of stinking trophies, and not just from here, all over. He's traveled now all over the world to skiing competitions all over. Um, I believe I know he's been to Switzerland, he's been to Germany, he's been all over any European country that's really big in the downhill skiing. He's been there. Plus, I believe he's been to Japan at least once, and he went to China once. Um, yeah, quite the skier, quite the skier. And he's just a young man. He's just a young man, still a teenager. Every time that kid, his dad got him a smartphone. Said, "Kid, you need a smartphone," because that kid is constantly getting messages from athletic promoters and different athletic organizations that want him to compete in certain skiing expeditions and stuff like that. So he said, "I got to get you a smartphone." Got the kid a smartphone. And that kid says it comes in real handy to stay on top of things on my skiing. Hey, Kwani, it's great to see the and so I meet up with him. We're going to have lunch together. His dad dropped him off and said, I said, "Well, come on, have lunch with us." And he goes, "No, no, I just want you and him to have lunch together." And I said, "Okay, cool." And I saw he set that phone on the table, and I saw that, and I thought, "Oh no, it's going to be like with all the other grandkids. I'm going to try to carry a conversation with this kid because I don't get to see him often, but he's going to be on that cell phone with his buddies or watching YouTube or some damn thing. Or else he's going to sit there and fact check me through the whole lunch. And before I was going to say, could you possibly just put the cell phone away while we have lunch? I didn't have to say a thing. That kid reached over, grabbed his phone, and he goes, "Just a second, Grandpa," and he's on there. And he sticks it in his coat pocket. I go, "What you do? What you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I shut the phone off." He says, I don't want that thing interrupting me while we're having lunch." I mean, I'm like, are you kidding? He was, I think, 13 at the time. And I'm like, "What?" And I asked him flat out, "Well, why would you do that? Why would you just, you know, I would think you'd want to stay in touch with your friends and stuff like that." He goes, "But no, I'm here to talk to you, not to them." And I said, "Well, I don't want to butt in on if somebody needs to get a hold of you." So he said, "We're going to have maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to spend together." He says, "I don't need I do not need my phone on while we are having a conversation together. And I said, well, I said, I'm proud of you. Proud of you. I said, I was ready to call you a smartphone dummy, you know, and you proved to me you're not. I mean, but he is the exception to the rule. All my grandkids, oh, they're on the cell phone. They're not listening to half of what you got to say to them. Nothing. Yeah. Hey, Native Grammy, glad you're connected again. It is so good to see you, Grammy. The Oh, I'm sorry, but my coffee tastes so good. Oh, I just had something fall off my studio. But I don't have a problem with smartphones. What I have a problem with are people taking the credit for the answers. They just simply typed a question into the phone because they take the credit for the answer. It's not their answer. That answer belonged to that cell phone, to that smartphone. I I want to hear a person's answer. I want to hear them be willing to say, I don't know, but I think now you got a conversation going. You don't have somebody saying, well, my phone says, who invited your damn phone into the conversation? Like I said earlier, if I wanted your phone to answer the question, I would have called your phone and said, hey, phone, I got a question for you. I like to have conversations with people, real people. There you go, Will Rocker. I love that statement. I agree. The honest truth answer. I have no problem with somebody saying, I don't know. I haven't got the answer to that. But you know what I think? Sure, let's hear it. That's what a conversation's truly about. It's not all what are the hard facts. I'll get them off my phone. Sometimes we don't even need to know the hard facts. What we need is the interaction with each other and the conversation without a third party, and especially one that's made out of plastic and metals and glass, telling us its side of the story. No, let us talk and build our own story out of our conversation. We may not get one legitimate answer in our whole conversation, but I'll tell you what, because it's a honest truth conversation. We're just being honest with you. I don't know, but you know what? I think this and this and this. We're walking away from that conversation feeling like $1,000,000. The Native Grammy, Mother Nature is actually driving, but we'll probably lose connection again soon. Oh, yeah. The That's the way it is. I know it's a little bit off topic, but all right, I got my final approval. Everything's locked and carved in stone now. That I got my campground, and on May 1st I head for camp, and I'll be living at camp for 4.5 months. In fact, tomorrow I'll be posting a video that explains everything that's going to happen throughout the summer to the channel and to the shows and blah, blah, blah. That's all in that video. I'm not going to explain that here. But that was the first thing My Forest Service supervisor asked me, "Have you got a smartphone?" I said, when it comes to smartphones, mine's the one sitting in the corner with a dunce hat. I said, "I'm sure it's smarter than I think it is, but I'm not that sharp. So I'm sure it's got things that I could do with it that I don't know. I haven't learned because I don't want to. I want to treat it more like a phone than anything else." Well, he says, he says, because I need you to be able to have internet access. And he says, and we've got a hotspot that you'll be able to use. And he says, and I want to be able to know that I can reach you on the phone, text you and blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, I got a basic smartphone. Yeah, it'll work. It'll do its job. And it was funny because he, I asked him, when can I show up at camp and set up? He says, well, technically the campground opens on May 1st. You can be there the morning of May 1st. He said, actually, he says, I'm not giving you permission, but the gate will be open. You can come in there April 30th if you want. And I said, no, I'm doing a live stream the night of April 30th, but I'll be there with the sun coming up the next morning. He says, I'll tell you what you do. 8:15 on May 1st, which is a Saturday, he said, I got a couple things to do in the office and then I'm done for the day, done for the weekend. I don't want you have fun setting up because I'll talk to you that Monday, the following Monday. He says, but what I want you to do is, he says, being you got your phone, he says, shoot me an email. I said, how about a text? No, don't send me a text. Send me an email to the official Forest Service site that you're there, and you're logged in. He says, because that's when I'll start your volunteer contract is the minute you text me or email me, because I'll have that email for the record and blah, blah, blah. So I found a good reason to have a smartphone. Otherwise, I've had people ask me, ask me a question. I say, I don't know. And they go, well, look it up on your phone. And I go, no. Well, why not? You look it up on your phone. My phone, I don't use my phone to answer questions for me. I'd rather hear it come out of somebody's mouth than read it on the phone. No. Hey, Scott. Oh, I'll remember you. I'll remember you. Yep. 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 The Will saying, me too. I would rather learn myself than have an iPhone learn for me. We're smart also. Well, and that's the whole thing is the more we learn, the more we retain, the smarter we become. What really, it's a pet peeve of mine is I don't mind if you find out information off your smartphone. Remember what you find out. When I tested those 5 kids and found out they didn't remember the same question from the day before, I felt bad for them. I told them, I said, you obviously didn't learn anything except for how to go on your smartphone to get all your answers. And I tried to impress upon them all the answers to life are not on that phone. I guarantee you. There are so many lessons in life you cannot get off of a smartphone. You have to experience it. You have to live it. Hi, Gemma. Good to see you, sweetie. If you don't allow yourself to learn and experience life, you just depend on that smartphone, then yes, I'm sorry, but you're a dummy. You're a dummy. You're not stupid. You're just a dummy. You're being dumb and foolish. It's foolishness. It's not that you're really foolish. It's 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 a form of foolishness to think that that phone will always be there for you and that phone thinks for you. It doesn't. It doesn't. You need to think for yourselves. You need to, and like I said, a good conversation, the conversation doesn't include fact checking everything on the dang smartphone. It's just having a good time talking to each other. It doesn't matter if you're right, wrong, or indifferent. Just having fun talking. And just be truthful. I don't know. I just don't know. Yeah, Gemma. Yeah, yeah. Prince Philip died. 99 years old. Lord have mercy. What a long life. Boy, what a long life. The yeah, yeah, yeah. When the piper plays his tune, off we go. Right, it's time to pay the piper. The comes for all of us at one time or another in our lives. Yep. So, folks, we're getting at the end of the hour, and I want to thank you all for being here. And hey, there's no stream tomorrow night. I don't stream on Saturdays. Sunday night, Sty Story Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Hope to see you there. Otherwise, Monday, right back here for Sty Times at 5 p.m. Central Time on Monday. Love y'all. I want y'all to take care of yourselves. And if you forget when I'm doing my streams, just ask your phone. It's smart. It'll tell you when I'm doing my next stream. I expect you to show up because you got a smartphone. so so it was great, guys. It was great. I want you all to take care, and we'll see you soon, either Sunday or Monday. So you watch this last few seconds of the clip, and you get an idea of what Monday's topic is all about. I like Monday's topic. I like that one, and I hope to see you there. So until then, this is Sty saying, enjoy all your Sty times, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.